My name is Carlton Hayes. I'm 52 years old. And 4 years ago, I bought a house in an exclusive neighborhood outside of Seattle, Washington. Beautiful area, gated community, million-dollar homes, manicured lawns, the kind of place successful people live, the kind of place I'd worked 30 years to afford. I thought I was moving into my dream home, a place where I could finally relax after decades of grinding, enjoy the fruits of my labor, live in peace. But my white neighbors had other plans. Within my first week, they called the police on me for unloading boxes from my moving truck, said I looked suspicious. Over the next 3 months, they called the police 8 more times for grilling in my backyard, for washing my car in my driveway, for sitting on my own front porch, for having friends over, for existing while black in what they considered their neighborhood. They filed complaints with the homeowners association, spread lies about me, harassed me constantly. 3 women in particular led the charge. I call them the Karens, because that's exactly what they were. White women who couldn't stand having a black man in their pristine neighborhood, who used every tool at their disposal to try to force me out. But here's what they didn't know. I wasn't just successful. I was wealthy, very wealthy, a self-made multimillionaire who built a real estate investment company from the ground up. And when I'd had enough of their harassment, I made one phone call. One call that set in motion a series of events that would change everything. 90 days later, I owned their entire neighborhood, every house, every lot, every square foot. I became their landlord, and the look on their faces when they realized what happened, priceless. This is the story of how racist neighbors tried to push me out, how I documented everything, how I stayed calm when I wanted to explode, and how I bought their entire world out from under them. By the time this was over, they were begging to stay, and I held all the power, exactly where I belonged. Let me start from the very beginning. Long before I moved to Seattle, before I had money, before I became successful, because understanding where I came from helps you understand why this victory meant so much. I was born in 1972 in Detroit, Michigan, East Side, one of the roughest neighborhoods in the city. My father, Willie Hayes, worked at the Ford plant. When there was work, which wasn't always, the auto industry was struggling in the 70s and 80s. Layoffs were constant. My father was laid off 3 times during my childhood. Each time, we struggled, really struggled. My mother, Constance Hayes, cleaned houses for wealthy white families in the suburbs. She'd take the bus to hours each way, leave at 5 in the morning, come home at 7 at night, exhausted, her hands raw from cleaning products, her back aching from scrubbing floors. But she never complained, never quit, just kept working, kept providing, kept telling us education was the way out. You boys are going to college, she'd say to me and my younger brother, Ellis. You're going to be professionals, doctors, lawyers, engineers, something better than this. We're going to get out of this neighborhood. I promise you that. I believed her, worked hard in school, stayed out of trouble, while other kids in the neighborhood were getting involved in gangs, drugs, and crime. I was studying, reading, planning my escape. I graduated from Cass Technical High School in 1990, top of my class, got a full scholarship to Wayne State University, studied business administration and finance. My mother cried at my high school graduation. My baby's going to college, she said. First person in this family to go to college. I'm so proud of you. I'm going to make you proud, Mama. I know you will, baby. I know you will. I graduated from Wayne State in 1994, got my bachelor's degree in finance, started working at a commercial real estate firm in downtown Detroit. Started at the bottom, assistant to an analyst, making $26,000 a year, barely enough to survive. But I was in the industry, learning, watching, absorbing everything I could about real estate, how properties were valued, how deals were structured, how financing worked, how investors made money. I worked there for 3 years, learned everything I could. Then, in 1997, I left, started my own company, Hayes Property Group. I was 25 years old. Had $5,000 in savings. No clients. No reputation. Just ambition and knowledge. The first few years were brutal. I scraped by. Barely made rent. Ate ramen noodles for dinner. Worked 18-hour days. But slowly, I built the business. Found small investors. Bought distressed properties. Fixed them up. Rented them out. Sold some for profit. Reinvested everything. By 2000, I had 15 properties. By 2005, I had 50. By 2010, I had over 100 properties across Michigan. And by 2015, I'd expanded to Ohio, Illinois, and Indiana. I was a multimillionaire, self-made, no inheritance, no trust fund, just hard work, smart investments, and relentless determination. My mother lived to see my success, saw me become wealthy, saw me buy her a house in a nice neighborhood, saw me take care of her. She passed away in 2016, 72 years old. Heart attack, sudden, unexpected, devastating. At her funeral, I promised her I'd keep going, keep building, keep proving that a black kid from the east side of Detroit could make it, could be successful, could live anywhere he wanted, could demand respect. That promise kept me motivated, kept me focused. And 3 years later, when I decided to expand to Seattle, I thought about her, thought about how proud she'd be, thought about how far we'd come. I moved to Seattle in January of 2020, right before COVID shut everything down. I've been looking at properties in the Pacific Northwest, liked the market, saw potential, decided to relocate my base of operations. Found a house in a neighborhood called Evergreen Heights, exclusive gated community about 30 minutes outside Seattle. $1 million homes, some even higher. The house I bought was $1.8 million. 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, 6,000 square feet, pool, 3-car garage, situated onto acres. It was beautiful, perfect, everything I'd worked for. I closed on the house in early January. Moved in 2 weeks later, hired movers to bring my furniture from Michigan, spent a weekend unpacking, getting settled, making the house mine. On my 3rd day there, I was outside, directing the movers. They were unloading boxes from the truck. I was in jeans and a t-shirt, working, helping, sweating. A police car pulled up. 2 officers got out, white men, both young. "Excuse me, sir," one of them said. "Can we help you?" I looked up, confused. "No, I'm good. Just moving in." "You live here?" "Yes, I do." "Can we see some ID?" "Why?" "We got a call about a suspicious person in the neighborhood." "Suspicious?" "I'm moving into my house. Can we see ID anyway?" "Just to confirm." I pulled out my wallet, showed them my driver's license. They checked it, ran it. One of them walked around the house, looked in windows, checked the garage. After 10 minutes, they came back. "Sorry for the inconvenience, sir. Just following up on a call." "Who called?" "We can't disclose that information, but I'm moving into my own house." "How is that suspicious?" "Like I said, we're just following up. Have a good day." They left. I stood there, angry, frustrated, but not surprised. I knew what had happened. A neighbor had seen a black man outside a house in their exclusive neighborhood, assumed I was a criminal, called the police. It was racism, pure and simple, but I dealt with it my whole life. So I took a deep breath, went back to unpacking, and tried not to let it ruin my day. The second incident happened a week later. I was in my backyard, setting up my grill, big smoker, custom built. I love to cook, especially barbecue, ribs, brisket, pulled pork. It was my hobby, my way to relax. I was seasoning some ribs, getting ready to smoke them, planning to invite some friends over later. A woman appeared at my fence. White woman, mid-50s, blonde hair, designer sunglasses, expensive workout clothes. She was glaring at me. "Excuse me," she said sharply. I looked up. "Yes." "What are you doing?" "Cooking. Getting ready to smoke some ribs." "You can't do that here." "Can't do what?" "Cook in my own backyard. You can't have open flames. It's against HOA rules." This isn't an open flame. It's a smoker. Same thing. It's a fire hazard. No, it's not. I've used smokers for years. I know what I'm doing. I don't care. You need to put it out. Who are you? I'm Barbara Whitfield. I'm on the whole board. And I'm telling you, you can't have that here. Well, Barbara, I own this house. And I checked the whole rules before I moved in. There's nothing that says I can't use a smoker. We'll see about that. As she walked away, I stood there, shaking my head, wondering what I'd gotten myself into. That evening, I had friends over. For people, all black, professionals, we ate ribs, drank beer, listened to music, jazz, not loud, just background music. We were on the back patio, talking, laughing, enjoying ourselves. Around 8 p.m., the police showed up, again. 2 different officers this time. Sir, we got a noise complaint. A noise complaint. It's 8 p.m., and we're not being loud. Can you turn the music down anyway? It's barely audible. We got a complaint, so we have to ask. I turned the music off completely. Happy? Yes, sir. Sorry for the inconvenience. After they left, one of my friends, a guy named Preston, said, "Man, you've been here 2 weeks and the cops have already been called on you twice? Yep, this is ridiculous. I know. You going to be okay here? I'll be fine. I've dealt with worse. But this is an exclusive neighborhood. You paid almost $2 million for this house. You shouldn't have to deal with this. You're right. But here we are." Preston shook his head. "If you need anything, let me know. I will. Thanks." After everyone left, I sat on my patio, alone, looking at my beautiful house, my beautiful yard, everything I'd worked for, and I felt angry, frustrated, exhausted. I'd spent 30 years building wealth, earning the right to live wherever I wanted, and here I was, being harassed in my own home by people who thought I didn't belong. But I wasn't going to let them win. I dealt with racism my whole life, and I always came out on top. This would be no different. Over the next 3 months, the harassment intensified. Police were called 8 times total, each time for something absurd. Third call, I was washing my car in my driveway. Complaint said I was wasting water and creating a public disturbance. Fourth call, I had a delivery truck drop off furniture. Complaint said the truck was blocking traffic. It wasn't. Fifth call, I was sitting on my front porch, reading a book. Complaint said I was loitering and making neighbors uncomfortable. Loitering on my own porch. Sixth call, I was mowing my lawn. Complaint said I was using power tools during quiet hours. It was 2 in the afternoon on a Saturday. Seventh call, I had a contractor working on some landscaping. Complaint said I didn't have proper permits. I did. Eighth call, I was having a small gathering. 6 people, all inside my house. Complaint said we were having a loud party disturbing the peace. We were inside, talking at normal volumes. Every single call came from the same 3 women, Barbara Whitfield, Susan Carmichael, and Linda Rothstein, the Karens. They lived on my street. Barbara to houses down, Susan across the street, Linda next door. They'd formed an alliance, coordinated their attacks, used the police as their weapon, trying to make my life so miserable I'd leave. They also filed complaints with the HOA, said my lawn wasn't maintained properly. It was immaculate. Said my fence violated community standards. It didn't. Said I was parking vehicles on the street illegally. I wasn't. Every complaint was bogus. But they kept filing them, kept harassing me, kept trying to find something, anything, that would give them ammunition to force me out. I started documenting everything. Installed security cameras all around my property. Front door, back door, driveway, backyard, all recording 24/7. Every time the police came, I showed them footage proving I wasn't doing anything wrong. Most of the officers were professional, apologetic. They could see what was happening, that I was being targeted, but they still had to respond to every call. That's the system. Someone calls, they have to come, even if the calls are clearly motivated by racism. After the 8th police call in 3 months, I'd had enough. I went to the police station, asked to speak to a supervisor, was directed to a lieutenant named Ellis Granger, black man, mid-50s. He invited me into his office. "What can I do for you, Mr. Hayes? I'm being harassed by my neighbors. They keep calling the police on me for doing normal activities." "How many times?" "8 times in 3 months. Lieutenant Granger pulled up his computer. "I see the reports, all from the same address." "Your address?" "Yes, sir, and all from the same 3 neighbors." "Have you tried talking to them?" "I have. They're hostile. Tell me I don't belong in the neighborhood, that I'm bringing down property values just by being there." "I see. This is clearly harassment. What can you do about it?" "Honestly, not much. They have the right to call the police, even if their complaints are baseless, but they're filing false reports. Unless we can prove they're knowingly filing false reports with malicious intent, our hands are tied, and proving intent is difficult, so I just have to deal with it." "I'm afraid so, but I'll make a note in the system. Flag these addresses, so when they call about you, officers will know there's a history." "Is there anything else I can do?" "Document everything, every interaction, every call. If this escalates, or if they do anything that crosses the line into harassment or threats, let us know immediately." "Thank you, Lieutenant. I'm sorry you're going through this. Welcome to the neighborhood, right? Unfortunately. But hang in there. People like that usually show their true colors eventually, and when they do, they face consequences. I hope you're right." I left the station feeling somewhat better. At least the police were aware. At least they were on my side. But I was still being harassed, still being targeted, and I needed to figure out how to stop it. I decided to go to an HOA board meeting. The meetings were held monthly, open to all residents. I'd never attended, didn't think I needed to, but now I did. The next meeting was 2 weeks away. I marked my calendar, prepared my documentation, printed out records of every police call, every false complaint, screenshots of my security footage, everything. The meeting was held at the community clubhouse. About 40 residents attended, plus the 5 board members, including Barbara Whitfield. When it was time for resident comments, I stood up. "Good evening. My name is Carlton Hayes. I live at 47 Evergreen Heights Drive. I'm here to file a formal complaint against 3 residents who have been systematically harassing me since I moved here 3 months ago." The room got quiet. Barbara shifted uncomfortably in her seat. I proceeded to present everything, every police call, every false complaint, every accusation. I showed security footage of me doing completely legal, normal activities, grilling, washing my car, sitting on my porch, reading, while my neighbors called the police claiming I was threatening them, disturbing the peace, violating home rules. I showed that every claim was false, every complaint was baseless, and that this was clearly motivated by racism. When I finished, the room was silent. Then several other residents spoke up. One black family said they'd experienced similar treatment but had been too afraid to say anything. 2 white families said they'd witnessed the harassment and thought it was wrong. Others nodded in agreement. The board president, a man named Howard Ferguson, spoke. "Mr. Hayes, this is very serious. We'll need to investigate, but based on what you've presented, it's clear you've been targeted. Barbara, Susan, Linda, do you have anything to say?" Barbara stood up, face red. "This is ridiculous. We were just concerned about property values and community standards." "Property values? I paid $1.8 million for my house, cash. How am I hurting property values? You're having loud parties. I showed you footage. We were inside, talking at normal volumes. You're grilling constantly, creating smoke and odors. I'm cooking in my own backyard, like dozens of other residents do. You're just looking for excuses, because you don't want me here." "That's not true." "Then explain why you've called the police 8 times in 3 months, all for legal activities." "I was concerned." "You weren't concerned. You were harassing me, because I'm black, and you think I don't belong in your neighborhood." Susan stood up. We're not racist, really, because I've documented everything, every call, every complaint, and they all started the day I moved in. The day you realized a black man bought a house on your street. Howard spoke. Barbara, Susan, Linda, the board will be investigating this. If we find that you've been filing false complaints or harassing Mr. Hayes, there will be consequences. What kind of consequences? Fines, possibly removal from the board, and if it continues, legal action. This is outrageous, Barbara said. No, what's outrageous is that I've spent 3 months being harassed in my own home, I said. What's outrageous is that I can't grill in my backyard without having the police called on me. What's outrageous is that you think you have the right to decide who belongs in this neighborhood. Well, let me be clear. One belong here. I earned my place here. I'm not going anywhere. And if you continue to harass me, you'll regret it. The meeting ended. Residents came up to me, offered support, apologized, said they'd stand with me if needed. It felt good, like I wasn't alone. But I also knew this wasn't over. Barbara, Susan, and Linda were humiliated, exposed, and people like that don't just give up. They escalate, and they did escalate. 2 weeks after the meeting, I got a letter from the HOA saying my property was in violation of several community standards, that I needed to make corrections within 30 days or face fines. The violations listed were absurd. My mailbox was allegedly the wrong color. It wasn't. It was the exact color specified in the whole rules. My landscaping allegedly violated setback requirements. It didn't. I'd had it professionally done according to community guidelines. My outdoor lighting allegedly created light pollution. It didn't. I had standard pathway lights, same as everyone else. It was clear what this was. Retaliation. Barbara was on the board, and she was using her position to harass me through official channels. I called my attorney, a woman named Simone Drake, one of the best real estate attorneys in Michigan. She'd moved to Seattle a year earlier. We'd stayed in touch. Simone, I need your help. What's going on? I'm being harassed by my HOA. Tell me everything. I explained the situation, the police calls, the false complaints, the whole meeting, and now this retaliatory letter. Simone listened, then said, Carlton, this is textbook harassment and discrimination. You need to fight this. I am fighting it, but I need your legal expertise. I'll draft a response to the HOA, refuting every claim. And I'll file a formal complaint against Barbara Whitfield for abuse of her position. Good. But Simone, I want to do more than just defend myself. I want to go on a fence. What do you mean? I mean I want to make them regret ever messing with me. How? I have an idea, but I need to research it first. Can you give me 2 weeks? Take all the time you need. Thanks. And Carlton? Yes. Be careful. These people have already shown they're willing to lie and manipulate. They might escalate further. I know, but I'm not backing down. Good, because you shouldn't have to. Over the next 2 weeks, I did something I'd never done before. I researched Evergreen Heights, not just the neighborhood, but the development company that built it, the property management company that ran it, the financial structure, the ownership. What I discovered was fascinating and opportunistic. Evergreen Heights was developed in 2015 by a company called Cascade Property Development. They built the entire neighborhood, 200 homes, sold most of them, but retained ownership of several key properties, including the clubhouse, the pool, the common areas. They'd also structured the HOA in a way that gave them significant control. As long as they owned certain properties, they had voting rights on the board. It was a common setup. Developers often retained control for several years to ensure quality and standards. But here's what was interesting. Cascade Property Development was struggling. I found articles, financial filings, news reports. They'd overextended themselves, taken on too much debt. Several of their projects had failed. They were hemorrhaging money, and they were looking to sell assets, including their remaining holdings in Evergreen Heights. They owned 15 properties still, vacant lots, unsold homes, and the common areas, altogether worth about $20 million. They've been trying to sell for 2 years, but hadn't found a buyer, probably because most investors didn't want to deal with an HOA, didn't want the complications. But I wasn't most investors. I saw an opportunity. If I bought Cascade's holdings, I'd own 15% of the neighborhood. I'd have voting rights on the whole board. I'd have power. I could protect myself, and I could make Barbara, Susan, and Linda very uncomfortable. I called the CEO of Cascade, a man named Victor Paulson, told him I was interested in purchasing their Evergreen Heights assets. He was surprised, interested. We met the following week at his office in downtown Seattle. Victor was in his 60s, gray hair, tired eyes. His company was failing. He needed to sell. We talked numbers. He wanted $20 million. I offered 18. He countered at 19. We settled at $18.5 million, all cash, closed in 60 days. We shook hands, drew up contracts, and just like that, I was about to own a significant portion of my own neighborhood. The sale closed in early July, 60 days after my meeting with Victor. I now own 15 properties in Evergreen Heights, plus the common areas, the clubhouse, the pool, the recreational facilities, and with that ownership came voting rights on the whole board. I had as much power as Barbara, maybe more. The next HOA board meeting was 2 weeks away. I planned to attend, and I planned to make some changes. But before the meeting, I wanted to send a message. I hired a property management company, professional, reputable, told them to send letters to every homeowner in Evergreen Heights, informing them that Cascade Property Development had sold their holdings, and that the new owner was Carlton Hayes, me. The letters went out on a Friday. By Monday, my phone was ringing off the hook. Neighbors wanted to know what this meant, if anything would change, if I was going to raise HOA fees. I assured everyone that nothing would change, that I was a responsible owner, that my only goal was to be a good neighbor and community member. But 3 people didn't call. Barbara, Susan, Linda. They knew exactly what this meant. I'd just become one of the most powerful people in the neighborhood, and there was nothing they could do about it. The board meeting was the following Tuesday. I arrived early, sat in the front row, watched as board members filtered in. Barbara saw me. Her face went pale. She knew. Howard Ferguson, the board president, called the meeting to order. Before we begin, I have an announcement. As you all know, Cascade Property Development has sold their assets in Evergreen Heights. The new owner is Carlton Hayes, a resident of our community. As per our bylaws, property owners have voting rights proportional to their holdings, which means Mr. Hayes now has significant voting power on this board. Welcome, Mr. Hayes. Thank you, Howard. I'm happy to be here. We have several items on tonight's agenda. But first, Mr. Hayes, do you have anything you'd like to say? Yes, actually, I do. I stood up, turned to face the room. 3 months ago, I moved to this neighborhood. I bought a beautiful home, paid $1.8 million. I was excited, ready to be part of this community. But from day one, I was harassed. 3 residents in particular called the police on me 8 times, filed false complaints with the HOA, tried everything they could to force me out, all because I'm black, and they thought I didn't belong here. I brought this issue to the board's attention at the last meeting. Some of you supported me, others stayed silent, but the harassment didn't stop. In fact, it escalated. I received a retaliatory letter from the HOA, claiming my property was in violation. It wasn't. Every claim was false. It was clear that certain board members were abusing their positions, using their power to target me. Well, I'm here to tell you that ends today. I now own 15 properties in this neighborhood. I have voting rights, and I intend to use them. First item of business. I'm calling for a vote to remove Barbara Whitfield from the board for abuse of power, for filing false complaints, and for harassment. The room erupted. People talking, arguing. Barbara stood up. You can't do this. Yes, I can. It's in the bylaws. Any board member can be removed by a 2/3 vote if there's cause. And there's definitely cause. Howard banged his gavel. Order. Let's vote. All in favor of removing Barbara Whitfield from the board? 3 hands went up, including mine. All opposed? Barbara's hand went up. And 1 other board member. Motion fails. We need for votes. I looked around. 1 board member, a woman named Gina Torres, had abstained. Why did you abstain? Gina looked uncomfortable. I need more information. Barbara has been on this board for 5 years. I can't vote to remove her without more evidence. I have evidence. Security footage, police reports, testimony from other residents. I presented everything again. Showed the footage, the false complaints, the pattern of harassment. When I finished, Gina nodded. I've seen enough. I changed my vote. I vote yes. Let's vote again, Howard said. All in favor? For hands. Barbara's face turned red. All opposed? 1 hand. Barbara, motion passes. Barbara Whitfield is removed from the board effective immediately. Barbara stood up. This is ridiculous. You can't do this to me. It's already done. And if you continue to harass me, I'll take legal action. You'll regret this, Carlton. No, you'll regret ever calling the police on me. Barbara stormed out. The meeting continued. We addressed other business, but the tone had shifted. Everyone knew I had power now, and I wasn't afraid to use it. Over the next few months, things changed in Evergreen Heights. Barbara, Susan, and Linda stopped calling the police, stopped filing complaints, kept to themselves. But I knew they were seething, plotting, waiting for an opportunity. That opportunity came 6 months later. In January of 2021, the whole board voted on a new property management company. The current company's contract was expiring. We needed to choose a new one. The companies bid on the contract. One was the company I'd hired to manage my 15 properties, professional, experienced, highly rated. The other was a small company owned by Susan Carmichael's brother-in-law, less experienced, more expensive, but Susan pushed hard for them. She was still on the board. So was Linda. They tried to rally votes, tried to convince other board members to choose her brother-in-law's company. But I had voting power, and I used it. I voted for my company. So did the other board members. Susan's company lost. She was furious. You're doing this to spite me. No, I'm doing this because your brother-in-law's company is overpriced and underqualified. My company is better. You're abusing your power. I'm using my power. There's a difference. This isn't over, Carlton. You're right. It's not. Because I'm not done yet. Susan looked confused. What do you mean? You'll see. A few weeks later, I made another move. I've been watching the real estate market in Evergreen Heights. Several homes had come up for sale, including Linda Rothstein's house. She was getting divorced, needed to sell. Her house was listed for $1.5 million. I made an offer, $1.6 million. All cash, closed in 30 days. Her realtor called her, told her about the offer. Linda was thrilled, until she found out who the buyer was, me. She tried to back out, refused to sell, but she'd already signed a contract. Her realtor explained she had to honor it, or face legal consequences. She had no choice. 30 days later, I owned Linda's house. She moved out, furious, humiliated, and I rented it out to a nice black family from Atlanta, a doctor and his wife, 2 kids. They were thrilled to be in such a nice neighborhood. Linda heard about it, called me, screaming, "How could you do this?" "Do what? Buy your house? You knew I didn't want to sell to you. You didn't have a choice. You needed to sell." All 3 Karens, gone. Their houses, mine, and the neighborhood they tried to keep white and exclusive, now owned largely by me, a black man. It was poetic justice today. For years after moving to Evergreen Heights, I own 28 properties in the neighborhood. The 3 Karen houses, the 15 I bought from Cascade, and 10 more I've acquired over time. I control nearly 30% of the neighborhood. I'm the largest property owner, the most powerful voice on the whole board, and I've made changes, good changes. We've updated the bylaws to explicitly prohibit discrimination. We've created a welcoming committee to help new residents feel included. We've diversified the neighborhood. It's no longer exclusively white. We have black families, Asian families, Latino families, LGBTQ couples, single parents, people from all walks of life. It's a real community now, not just an exclusive enclave for wealthy white people. And the property values? They've gone up. Because diversity doesn't hurt property values. It enhances them. It creates a richer, more vibrant community. The Karens were wrong about everything, and I proved it. Barbara moved to Arizona. Susan moved to Texas. Linda moved to Florida. They're gone. And I'm still here, living in my dream home, running my business, enjoying my life. Do I think about them? Sometimes. Do I feel guilty? Not even a little. They tried to force me out because of the color of my skin. They used every tool at their disposal. The police, the HOA, harassment, intimidation, but it backfired. Because they underestimated me. Thought I was just another black man who'd eventually give up and leave. But I'm not just another black man. I'm Carlton Hayes, self-made multimillionaire, real estate investor, business owner, and I don't back down. I fight back, smart, strategic, patient, and I win. Looking back on this experience, I've learned some important lessons. First, never underestimate your opponent. The Karens thought I was just a nuisance, someone they could bully into leaving. They had no idea who they were dealing with, had no idea I had the resources to buy their entire neighborhood. Second, document everything. Security cameras saved me. Proof of their harassment. Proof of their lies. Without that evidence, it would have been my word against theirs. And in a predominantly white neighborhood, my word might not have been enough. Third, know your rights. I studied the HOA bylaws, understood the rules, used them to my advantage. Knowledge is power, especially in situations like this. Fourth, be patient. I didn't react emotionally, didn't lash out, didn't do anything rash. I stayed calm, observed, waited for the right moment, and when that moment came, I struck. Fifth, use your resources. I had money, lots of it, and I used it strategically to buy properties, to gain power, to turn the tables. Money isn't everything, but it's a powerful tool when used correctly. And finally, never let anyone tell you where you belong. I belonged in Evergreen Heights. I earned my place there, worked 30 years to afford it, and no amount of racism was going to drive me out. I had every right to be there, and I made sure everyone knew it. I also want to address something important. Some people might say I was vindictive, that buying their houses and forcing them out was wrong, that I should have been the bigger person, turned the other cheek, forgiven them. To those people, I say this. I tried to be the bigger person. For 3 months, I endured harassment, police calls, false complaints. I tried to talk to them, tried to be neighborly, tried to coexist peacefully. They refused. They escalated. They tried to destroy my life. So yes, I fought back. And yes, I won. And I don't apologize for that. Because turning the other cheek doesn't work when someone is trying to systematically destroy you. Forgiveness doesn't work when the other person isn't sorry. Being the bigger person doesn't work when the other person is trying to make you small. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. Sometimes you have to use the system against those who use it against you. Sometimes you have to win, not just for yourself, but for everyone who's been in your position. Everyone who's been told they don't belong. Everyone who's been harassed for the color of their skin. I won for them, to show that it's possible, that you don't have to accept mistreatment, that you can fight back and win. Is it satisfying? Absolutely. Is it justice? I think so. Did they deserve it? Without question. And would I do it again? In a heartbeat. So that's my story. White neighbors called the police on me for grilling in my own backyard. Harassed me for 3 months. Tried everything to force me out. But I didn't leave. Instead, I bought their neighborhood, became their landlord, and forced them out. It's a story of racism, resilience, strategic thinking, and ultimate victory. And if there's one thing I want people to take from this, it's this. You belong wherever you choose to be. No one has the right to tell you otherwise, no matter their race, their wealth, their status. You belong. And if someone tries to push you out, don't run. Fight back. Smart, strategic, patient. Document everything. Know your rights. Use your resources and win. Because you deserve to live where you want. Be who you are. Exist without harassment. And no one should be able to take that from you, ever, for years later. I'm still in Evergreen Heights. Still thriving. Still building my empire. My company now owns over 300 properties across Washington. I'm expanding to Oregon, California, Nevada, building wealth, creating opportunities, providing affordable housing, and living my best life in my dream home, in my neighborhood, exactly where I belong. And every time I grill ribs in my backyard, I smile because I remember the Karens who tried to stop me, who called the police, who filed complaints, who told me I didn't belong. And I think about where they are now, gone, displaced, irrelevant, while I'm still here, stronger than ever. That's victory. That's justice. And that's how to handle racism in 2024. Not with anger, not with violence, but with strategy, intelligence, resources, and patience. You outlast them, outthink them, outmaneuver them, and you win every single time. And it feels good. Really good, Dot, so that's my story. But now I want to hear from you. Did you like this chronicle? What would you have done if you were in my position? Have you ever been racially profiled in your own neighborhood? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And tell me, where are you listening to this story from right now? Drop your location in the comments. I love knowing where Uncle Tyrone's Chronicles is reaching. If you enjoyed this story, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story. Trust me, I've got more chronicles coming that you won't want to miss. And before you go, check out the video I'm recommending for you next. I think you're really going to like it. Until next time, this is Uncle Tyrone reminding you that you belong wherever you choose to be. Strategic patience beats emotional reaction every time, and the best revenge is massive success. Peace.